Weekly planning, it does not have to be hard, it just has to be consistent. There is no habit I cherish more than my weekly planning routine. A weekly planning routine is the foundation of good planner hygiene, and without it, I am lost. But if you, like me, sometimes find yourself on a Sunday evening absolutely dreading the week ahead and dreading all the setup you have to do in your planner to make it all happen, this video is for you. I'm gonna walk you through my dirt simple 3-step planning routine that I do every single week that helps me get prepared for my coming week and helps me feel safe and secure in my planner so that I can achieve all my beautiful dreams and goals. All right, first, let's talk about the tools you will need for this very simple weekly planning. Number 1, you will need a weekly planner of some sort. I recommend paper planners because we are all about making that mind-body connection to our tasks and goals on this channel, and paper is going to help you do that. I have here my Hobonichi Weeks, which I use religiously for planning purposes, but you can use any sort of weekly planner you like. This is what a blank weekly spread looks like in the Hobonichi Weeks. Here's an example of a different weekly planner. This is a vertical weekly with a timeline down the side. Any weekly planner will do for this exercise. Then you're going to need your task manager of choice. So this is the place where you keep all of the tasks that you have to do on a running basis. It might be a digital to-do list app. It might be a note on your phone. It might be a sticky note somewhere floating in the ether. For me, lately, I have been loving keeping my personal tasks in a brain dump. What will often happen is I will just create the brain dump on a given day. So this was September 23rd, and I'll write down everything that I can think of that I need to do. The only thing that doesn't go in here are work tasks because my office has its own task manager system. So when I am planning for a week, I get my personal task list in this brain dump that is dated from like the last time I needed to brain dump, and also my work task manager. I'm not going to show you my work task manager because obviously that's sensitive, but it is Asana, so it is a digital system. So get your task manager of choice together. And then if you are the kind of person who is motivated by pretty things and things being fun and cute like I am, you'll also want some kind of decorative element to give yourself a little treat after you do your plans. This is not crucial by any means, but you can, if you want, grab some sticker or washi tape that you have lying around. Today, I'm using this pre-made sticker kit from Hubman and Chub Girl. They rule. They're also sponsoring this video, and I'll say more about them later. And then you need a pen. That's it. Let's get going. So step 1 is to set up this coming week. Yes, it is that simple. You want to find the next blank weekly spread in your planner and set it up for the week. You might be surprised to hear that setting up this coming week is actually the first step in my system. Most weekly planning routines start with some kind of review of last week before we get to setting up this week, but I find that reviewing first is not my favorite because of a couple of things. One, when I get to like a Sunday evening and I am tired, and I have just done a full ass week of work, I do not want to plan. At least most of the time, it feels like a pretty big lift to say, okay, what is everything I have done this week? And then what is everything I have to do next week? So instead of doing a whole big complicated review step first, I cut that process in half and I immediately turn to the blank weekly page and channel a sense of peace and a sense of becoming, because this week can be whatever I want it to be. So there's a lot more possibility built into that. And that gives me a feeling of peace. See? Chaos, peace. Chaos, peace. It's that simple. I also find that once I start planning on this new blank page, I start to feel the momentum of planning my week, which will help me keep going for the rest of the steps in the system. I often don't feel overwhelmed after this. I feel like full of possibility and like, okay, yeah, I can tackle the next step now that I know what next week looks like. But also, reason 2 that I put this step first is because if you are really limited on time or spoons or energy, this should be the only thing that you do. You don't need to resolve last week to start planning this coming week. You don't need to make sure every loose end is tied up. You need to have a game plan and an understanding of what's coming down the pipeline. Your planning will be stronger if you do all 3 steps in the system and have an understanding and resolution to last week. It will absolutely be stronger, but we are busy people with busy lives and limited bandwidth. If you have to do one thing, pick planning over review. So let's talk about how I actually set this up. Setting it up is not that complicated. What you want to do is first note down your coming appointments. So for me, this looks like looking at my digital calendar, which is where I schedule everything on the go, and then I copy it all down into my paper planner. For you, it might be looking at your monthly section and then copying that onto your week. Wherever you keep the most of your appointments, you want to note them down so that you have a good weekly overview. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and use a straight edge. I'm just using this Hubman and Chub Girl like journaling card that they sent with the
products, and I'm going to go ahead and just draw a straight line. This is just for me how I like to set up my weekly list. Draw a straight edge there, and then I'm going to duplicate in this column everything that I have coming up for the week. Okay, so I have noted down all of my appointments. Basically, in this left column, I like to put every meeting I have for the day or any appointment I have. So for example, these sort of like morning blocks are my meetings at work. And then in the evenings, I'll often put like, I have a therapy appointment, but I also know for a fact I'm going to be doing laundry that evening, so I can't make other plans. On Wednesday is the Survivor premiere, so I know I'm not going to be doing anything else except watching that. This week, I also happen to be going on vacation for a couple of days, so I'm going to be in Palm Springs Friday and Saturday. So I actually accidentally started writing in one of my ordinary like daily meetings that I have. So I crossed it out and said I wrote Palm Springs on this day. So I have all of my coming events placed down in context, and I have a good weekly overview. At this point, I also like to note down any big projects I need to work on. I like to take advantage of the memo page here in the weeks, but you can also use a sticky note or any other available notes space that your weekly page might have. So I'm going to go ahead and title that priorities. So I have 3 priorities. I have to do a campaign launch for work. I need to pack for Palm Springs, obviously, and then I also need to do some scheduling ahead of YouTube. These are the 3 things I'm going to be focusing on, especially for this beginning part of the week. And of course, during this ending part of the week, I want to have fun. So now at this point, this is what our week looks like. We have a good muscle memory understanding of what is coming up for us. It's at this point I like to give myself a little reward. So this is a mini bonus step, if you will. You have just done the hardest thing, which is getting started. So if you choose, now you can pull out those stickers and washi tape that I mentioned before. It is super important, I will say, to plan first and not jump right into like the fun sticker sheets, even though they are super fun, because this is the fun stuff and this is the actual work. This, if you didn't have any time for decor or anything else, you got this down and that's what matters. You can always add stickers back in later. But you can also treat yourself midway through the process. You did the hardest part, so you can now lay down some colorful goodness and really set up a spread you not only feel productive using, but also that you love using for the coming week. Like I said, the kit that I'm using comes from Hubman and Chub Girl. We are big fans of them here at Rachel in Theory headquarters. They make stickers, stationery, even entire planners like this one, which I got from them last month. It has a whole vertical weekly in it. Or they also make plain dot grid notebooks as well. This month, they have this adorable duck theme, but there's new stuff every month. I've seen cats, cactuses, coffee, and I know for a fact they have some really cool ones coming later this year too. So if this looks like up your alley, check out my link in the description below to enter the code Rachel15 for 15% off. And I'm going to go ahead and input my stuff right now. Okay, so that is the amount of decor I think I'm going to do for this particular week. I usually use this column for memories of some sort, but I have all this space to write down memories from Palm Springs, so I'm just adding a couple of little boxes that I can jot some stuff down on the side. It can be a little bit smaller because I do have all of this room. So I could stop here, I could be done here, and I could just take this and use it for the rest of my week. I would be fine if that happened. However, step 2 in my 3-step weekly schedule is to resolve last week. We set this week up, and now we have the opportunity to figure out what the heck happened here. Now, there's a reason I don't say review last week. Lots of planning routines will have you review. Heck, I use reviewing a ton in my planning. I think it is a crucial step in order to understand if your planning is working for you and what you can do better. But I think for your week, week in, week out, you want to focus on resolving last week in a way that's not necessarily reflective, but that is action oriented. So the steps involve checking off tasks that you did that you didn't mark complete already. So for example, I know I did build the grad day campaigns. I went to all of these meetings, so I'm going to check them all off. I did the events campaign, and I scripted these videos, and I'm filming today, which is great. As I'm scanning this, these tasks I also completed. These tasks I also completed. So that covers checking off the tasks that I didn't mark complete already. Then there are crossing out any notes that are no longer relevant. The only notes I have here that are no longer relevant are basically movie night. We did not do movie night, so I need to cross that off, just to note that it didn't happen. Then I need to migrate any tasks to next week if I did not complete them. So for example, here, this adjunct lists and reception, I need to send a message to adjunct faculty. I didn't do it. I'm going to go ahead and put the little forward arrow that indicates that I'm going to move it to the next week. So here's the next week. We have my priorities list. I'm also going to write down tasks. EndNote adjunct email. So that's migrated. Email inbox 0, I also didn't achieve. But that's not really something that you can necessarily migrate, so I'm just going to cross it off because either you did do it or you didn't do it. And the other one is DEIA prep for a page on the website, which sounds like I'm waiting on meetings. So I need to note down, follow up about DEIA page. Perfect. So I have some tasks that I didn't complete last week that are now forwarded into my current week. The last step is filling out any places in your logs or habit trackers that you may have missed last week. Now, I don't keep habit trackers in my weekly anymore. I always flip-flop on whether or not I even want to do habit trackers these days, but if you have a habit tracker that you haven't filled out, now is the time to do so. This is my monthly spread, and it's all very personal, so I don't want to show it to you necessarily, but this little corner down here in the bottom is my current habit tracker, and so at this point, I would go back to the previous week, so the new week starts on the 25th. So I'm going back to the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th and just checking off anything that I did or didn't do. So 1 second, I'll do that. Okay, you're back with me. I've just filled out these little bits here, but it's currently the 23rd, so the 24th hasn't actually happened yet as I'm filming this. So I will be filling that out actually tomorrow. But if you were doing this on Sunday night or something, you would just go back and fill out anything that you missed so far. And on Monday morning, I am going to also go back and make sure that I have this column filled out too. So sorry, this was very small, but this is where I keep my habit trackers, and this is what you do as the final step of the resolving last week. Okay, back to the weekly. So now that last week has been fully resolved, meaning there are no open loops left, we can turn to this week and know this is all we are working with, baby. Which means we can move on to the third and final step in our 3-step weekly process, which is to make your Monday list. So once I'm done with resolving all my tasks and everything like that, I will make my Monday list, which is a list that goes in my Monday spot because Monday is the next time that I will be planning in this planner. It is the next time I'm going to open to this page. It is the next time I am going to look for a clear indicator of what to do next. And I want to give future Rachel, who is sitting there with her planner open, tired because she didn't get enough sleep or hungry or whatever state she comes to the planner in, ready to go. I want to give her something to immediately get started on so she doesn't have to think. Now, you may not be doing your weekly planning on like a Sunday night like I often like to do. Sometimes I'll even do it on a Monday morning, and then this list just becomes like what to do right after I plan. Or you might like to do your, weekly planning on a Saturday or a Friday after you finish whatever is your quote unquote work week. Or heck, maybe you do it on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Who knows? It's your life, not mine. But in any case, your Monday list is comprised of the tasks that you will get done the next time you sit down to be productive. We already made a list of our top priorities for this week, and we already made a list of our tasks that we didn't get to last week. So you can easily pull from these two things to fill out this list. But you can also go to your task manager. Remember this brain dump I mentioned earlier in the video? This is my task manager right now, aka where all of my tasks are housed. I just put all my personal stuff in one spot, and then all my work stuff, like I said, in Asana, which I cannot share with you. And what I will often do is I will pull from either this list that I created for this week or this list, and I will get a few items set down for Monday. Now, you may have noticed that this says Student Services Outline, which is a page I'm outlining on the website that I'm working on, that I manage for work. And I had written this down already before I even started planning. And that's because I knew last week on Friday, when I was like reviewing what tasks I had gotten done this week, I knew that I had to touch this as soon as I walk into the office on Monday. I have to get that done. So I have already written it down there. And a lot of times I will do that. I will say like, oh, I don't have time for XYZ priority this week, but I have time for it next week on Tuesday. And then I'll just flip forward in my planner and write that down. But for the purposes of the weekly planning, this is only one item. I can get a couple of other things done that day. So I'm going to go to my brain dump and I'm going to pull up my work list and I'm going to write down a couple more things. Okay, I have written down 4 priorities that I know I need to get done on Monday that I can take action on as soon as I sit down at my desk. So a few of these are work related. I got to do this outline for this page. I also have to review some notes that I didn't get to last week. People are waiting on my reviewing of the notes in order to proceed on their tasks, so I really need to get that done for them so that they have a productive week too. And then I pulled one from my task list that I did not get done last week, which is follow up on the DEIA page. I put that in there. These priorities will come later in the week when I have time to sit down at the end of my Monday planning session, plan for Tuesday, plan for Wednesday, and so forth. But for the purposes of this weekly planning, we are just getting down some next actions that we can take. So I have those 3 work tasks, and then I will likely have to film a little bit during my lunch. Sometimes I take my lunches and I film content for you guys, which is fun, but I think I can get this filming done this weekend. I'm filming today, and then I also have some time to film tomorrow, so I think I can get it all done this weekend, but if I can't, I have this on my task list because I will need to do that on Monday for sure. And that's how you do your Monday list. You just want it to be like 3 or 4 priority items that you need to get done that day and that you can take action on right away as soon as you look at that bullet. This, as far as I'm concerned, is a perfect, usable, wonderful, sexy weekly spread that I am excited about getting into when I next open my planner on Monday, because I have a lot to do and this is going to set me up to do it well.
What is your Monday list? Go ahead and leave it down in the comments below so we can all support each other this coming Monday. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to keep hanging out with me, I do have another video right here next to my head about planning, or I'm over on Instagram at Rachelle in Theory. Thank you guys so much for watching, for being awesome, for being subscribed. You guys rock. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!